Hey, this is Robert, and thank you so much for tuning in to Station Square, everybody. We actually have a returning guest in the corner. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if anybody really, because it was kind of like years ago or so, but yeah, it was just kind of like during like, I don't want to, maybe 2020 or something like that. So yeah, but for those that are just now joining, this is Kai Jordan. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. And yeah, how's it going, my dude?
It's been okay. I'm since we last talked, I'm a union member now, so that's interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have an agency now, so that's cool. Been getting more audition opportunities than I have previously. There are a few things I've worked on previously that I can't talk about yet. Some things I have worked on around time have been pretty cool opportunities since then. But I've also been trying to sharpen the saw, as it were, with some of my skills. I've been trying to learn how to animate, trying to learn how to draw in my spare time. So that's something I've been doing.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think that's kind of part of the reason why we kind of discussed about doing a follow-up, but in light of the strike and everything, it's just
Yeah,
kind of been, yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I know there's just a lot that was, I'd love to talk about this, but in light of what's happened, but you know what, I think we're kind of in the clear for right now. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but yeah, at least progress is done,
hmm.
at least
Right, right.
for now, because
Yeah.
you never know. So yeah, I know that we definitely talked quite a bit about a lot of stuff last time. So I guess to really kick off this conversation for the first question, what has been something that has been keeping you, I guess, because you mentioned you do a lot of drawing, like writing and stuff like that. So um, what would you say is something that, like, what name some like a project that has been really keeping you just, that you're the most excited about that you can discuss? Because I know you've booked a lot of stuff since then. So tell us a little bit about, you know, the stuff that you're really the most excited about, and just share about some of the work that you've been up to as of late.
Okay. I guess in terms of like projects like that, like there is this like one comic I've been writing just like independently, mainly as a select. It's been taking me a while to do just because like I upgraded my PC recently and I've been doing like animation exercises just to learn like the basics of it. Like there's this one I'm doing of a moment from a video that made me laugh really hard, and I'm trying to learn how to storyboard it so I can properly like have the timing correct and then have it all done. Because I was doing another exercise, but I lost that file and it got corrupted because I didn't back it up. I didn't back it up properly. So word advice to anyone who upgrades PCs or builds new ones: moving the file doesn't really save it. You have to make a backup for it. That's I learned that the hard way. But that project's gone. So but we're move on to a different one. But in terms of like, and then let me see here. I'm trying to think of like recent voiceover stuff that I've done that I can talk about, but but nothing's coming up to the top of my head though, unfortunately. But like really, it's more so just a means of like practicing and just usually what I do with like a lot of my like this one comic project that I'm doing right now, this independent one I'm doing is like it's this it's this mixture between like I've told a lot of people this. It's like if you take Street Fighter and Dragon Ball and mix them together, but like the main cast is African American, and I wanted to figure out a way to. Sorry, I think I think dogs are barking in the back. Just do something with that. I have like an outline written for a few outlines written for the various chapters. I've just been trying to take, but it's been taking me a while to finish it because I'm very busy and I'm usually doing something like I'm trying to like work or whatever, or I'm trying to audition. And usually it's something I've been doing it on my off time just to make sure. But it's I'm hoping I can get to a point where I can figure out like how long it takes me to finish it, so that way I can I can put it out when it's done, and I can at least like know how much time it takes me to work on something. Because that's the thing I still don't know yet. It's like I don't know how long it takes me to work on a specific task because of my current skill level. So that's something I have to figure out.
Yeah, and would you also say that it's kind of been like something that you really love? Because I know for a lot of us, we have different skills and and so on and so forth. Would you say that is something that you're starting to, withdrawing and everything, is something that you're starting to really, I guess I don't want to say like something that you want to do like full time, but just something that is like, oh, okay, I could just add this to, you know, whatever I can do just as a creator or just having something that I can, expand my, tools in a way.
Yeah, if it becomes another if it becomes another possible revenue source, that would be great. You know, I don't count on it. It's something I'm doing just to feel so to just fuel the soul, as it were. Same with like when I came back into streaming once again. Every now and then, I would try to commit to doing it at least once every Friday if I'm able. I usually just pick like a fighting game or something, and I just usually play it for like maybe an hour or two before I usually turn in and try to work on something else. I've been meaning to like maybe stream like maybe twice a week, and maybe just but like one scheduled and then one just like random off the cuff, just so I can, just so I can get back into the swing of doing it. But with the fighting game one, it also just came from a desire to get better at playing those types of games. Street Fighter 6 I've gotten a lot better at, I'd like to think. But some games like Guilty Gear Strive require a lot of learning there. There's different mechanics to a certain fight, and something that I've always wanted there to be some form of like, and I've chatted about this with other friends of mine, but like one thing I wanted to do is like I've always wanted there to be like a voice actor equivalent of but for fighting games, like specifically like a critical role, but for like fighting games specifically. I've always wanted to do something like that, where like a bunch of voice actors like get into the space and actually do it. Just because I know a few actors who do play it on occasion, like the actors behind like a few actors I know who who have worked on Street Fighter 6 actually play it, and they're pretty decent at it. Like one of them plays as fucking Lily, and Lily is is a grappler, so I tend to be very scared of go with grapplers. You don't want to get too close to them because then they'll grapple you. They'll throw you around. So you got to be careful with that. But yeah, I've always wanted to do something like that, but I'm not sure how to go about like interacting with people to make that happen. It's probably something I just have to do a little bit more research on. So yeah, that's usually what I've been trying to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, on the subject of streaming, that's something that I've always kind of been, I don't want to say that it's something that it's a thought that has been kind of, tossing and turning in my mind for like the last like 2, 3 years or so now. I know it's definitely something that um I would love to start doing. I mean, a lot of people say it's scheduling time and you have to have the set. I mean, it's not really necessarily even the setup. It's just that um, having to stream and then just trying to be active and trying to engage with your audience it's definitely really time consuming. Like it's definitely like a mental as well as maybe even physical. Like it can be really it can kind of take a lot out of you, but if you really enjoy doing it, I mean that goes the same for like anything that you're doing, really, like voice acting or drawing and anything that you do. Like it can be fun, but it can also be very, very, very just draining. Especially for somebody if you're kind of like, you know, introverted or extrovert, whatever, like having to do this for like so many hours. Like you said, I'm just really glad that you do have a schedule. Like if you wanted to do something else, like maybe for like an hour or so, which is probably a good safe, like, it's probably like the safe time frame of, doing like if you're recording or you're doing streaming and stuff like that. So just gotta do your best to stay disciplined, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's right now it's mainly just a hobby, something I do in my off time.
Right,
It's
yeah,
not a
yeah,
career. So it's like
sure.
I don't really ride on the revenue thing just 'cause like,
Yeah.
and again it's like 'cause I feel like, that's the thing, and I want to be very careful when I say this just 'cause like it is a commitment, but also just like it can like the rules on your platform can change at any moment, and what was okay one moment can suddenly be not okay. And like you just sort of have to it's like I've known people who have made YouTube videos who have dealt with a similar situation where like the rules on the platform can just change without warning, and then like suddenly you just get hit with a lot of stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, back to the drawing board, I guess. And then yeah, because but but at the time it's more so I'm just playing it just for myself or whatever, and and that's why like I try to be very mindful of like what I'm doing when I'm streaming or whatever, but I don't have too much investment in it because it's a hobby. I don't freak out as if my Twitch channel were to like disappear tomorrow because like you played like this track played in this Street Fighter game that will get you booted off, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I can just sort of shrug and just say, well, that's another hobby that I can't do anymore. But right now it's been okay. So, but yeah, that's you just gotta, but it's not something that I'm like super invested in specifically. Not saying that I don't care about it, more so just like it's not to the point where like I will lose my revenue if I don't have it. Like it's not at that level yet. So it's just me just messing around and just having fun with it when I can. So
Yeah. I don't know if we discussed this like the last time we spoke, but you actually had a podcast of your own called Geeks and Weirdo. Is that,
oh
am
yeah,
I getting, yeah,
Dorkos and
Dorcos and
Weirdos.
Weirdos, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It was something that, yeah, it was a short-term podcast I did for a bit, but like I stopped doing it mainly because I was having a hard time trying to get in contact with guests and stuff like that. More specifically, I didn't know how to go about
yeah.
it. And two, I didn't like paying for the RSS feed. I didn't want to do that anymore. So, so that was the
Oh
other
yeah.
reason.
Oh yeah. Well, I just wanted to say that it kind of was fun when you just have like, people that are just kind of, into nerdy type of stuff. So, you know,
Yeah, yeah, it was, and to be fair, and it was fun to like get some people that I talk with. Like, I got one of my favorite YouTubers to talk with me on some stuff. I even got to talk with like some creators who I wasn't as familiar with, but they gave me some pretty insightful conversation.
yeah. So if you were to do another one in the future, is it kind of something that you're kind of sort of grappling about, like maybe going back to, or nah? Just curious.
It's gotta be there that it has to be like the guests have to be a lot more there has to be a more streamlined way for me to get guests because I don't like
Yeah.
feeling like I have to scramble to find the people I want to talk to on my own because it's just sort of like oh God. And also I want to be sure that I'm able to like if I'm going to justify paying for an RSS feed to keep it running like on other services like Spotify and whatnot, then and not that it was expensive, but I mean, that could change tomorrow, good Lord. But like still, like I just it's gotta justify it. Like I pay money yearly for my website because I update it all the time and I use it all the time for stuff. I still keep paying for Source Connect because it's a service that I use for, recording remotely. Even though I don't do it as much these days, like just in case, like if I ever work with anybody on Source Connect at all, like it's in the corner. Plus it's only 35, so for the time being at least, from what I last recall. But yeah, no, there's gotta be a justification for paying that, and there has to be a much more streamlined way for me to get guests, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you. I mean, I've been doing this for many years now, but now it's kind of gotten to the place where, okay, um, because I just didn't want to do like the same old questions to like every single guest that I have on. Like, I just
Yeah,
wanted to, you just gotta, vary it. You just gotta make the conversation just kind of flow and be natural. So you're not like going through the generic checklist of like, so how did you get into da 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 da,
yeah,
stuff like
exactly.
that.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's those obvious questions that
Yeah.
people hear. It's sort because it's like like you often hear with a lot of interviews where they ask the same, like what you said before, like where they'll ask the same questions over and over. It's like I feel like people should, take notes from like Sean Evans of Hot Ones, where you show that you really did your research and you're trying to like make it an interesting interview. If you're just going through the motions, like people can see that, and it's just like, all right, okay, like you're like it's like you're being nice, but it's like, okay, is there nothing interesting to say? Okay, okay, cool. But if you can do that, if you can show that you've done your research, then like obviously, like, not to like obviously be very careful about what you're touching into. You don't want to jump into situations where like you say something inappropriate and then like it just sort of makes the interviewee uncomfortable. Like there was an interview that was done with Robert Downey Jr. A long time ago, and I won't go into it, but the dude like just was asking a very sensitive question. He was giving subtle signals like, dude, stop. Like he like signaling, and then he calls out the behavior, and then after calling it out, he just walks out because it's like, dude, he warned you multiple times non-verbally to stop what you're doing, and you kept doing it. So that's the other thing. So
Oh, I can't believe you mentioned that because, no joke, actually just watched that like last month, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
hmm. But then it's not just Robert Downey Jr. There's like, I don't know if you've seen like, I don't really watch YouTube often, but you see those videos where, and it's kind of something that helps me learn, but at the same time, I'm just like, oh wow, now I know what not what if I'm ever invited to those type of, content or interviews and stuff like that, I know which ones I'm gonna probably avoid. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just with Robert, it's just disrespectful interviewers, just oh my God, like no, and especially specifically that one that you just talked about. I'm just like, oh my no, like why? Because the reason, no, 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 no. I kind of know. I kind of sort of know partially the reason why. It's because, well, it's kind of like the sense of like, oh, well, they kind of, well, on one hand, they can kind of be well-meaning, but at the same time, it's kind of a feeling that they're trying to get a rise out of, people. So, and it's kind of like a tactic they sort of do. But I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating, but sometimes they really do feel like they kind of do it on purpose in a way. So
Yeah.
that's something that you gotta also watch out for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess for something that I wanted to give some advice to guests, definitely. I mean, like if you're interviewing somebody, definitely do your research. But if you're appearing on a podcast, and this is something that also applies to guests as well, definitely do your homework, research. Like I know a lot of us, our schedules can be really hectic, but maybe it would be best to at least maybe watch a few interviews before deciding to. Okay, because you don't know what type of person that you're gonna talk with. That's just my 2 cents personally.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, outside of podcasting, you've also done okay. Because I think we also touched upon last time that you did like video essays and stuff like that. Because I remember one that you did on BoJack Horseman that was
Yeah.
really, really good. And you also did a couple of other ones where you kind of were talking about like media, shows, games, stuff like that. So I know that one also is kind of a bit of a gray area because since you're also an actor that is in the industry and, something like talking negatively on media can kind of be touched upon. I mean, even though you're passionate about it, like at the same time, it can also be kind of like, do I really want to talk about this and just be negative towards it in a way? So I just wanted to quickly talk about that as well because I know you also did essays and stuff like that, specifically for BoJack. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to know, like, what would you say that the whole process of, making video essays, because this is also something that I've always loved doing. So I just wanted to know from you what your process is like from like beginning to end, just making the videos in general.
So back when I did them frequently,
Yeah.
the thing about it is like it was sort of just like it was a case of like I would pick a topic or I would usually write down a bunch of things I think I would talk on for an extended period of time on my notepad or whatever, and then I would pick the show and try to go from there. And then I would write a rough outline of what I wanted to talk about, and then specifically like what kind of arguments I want. Like I'd write down, sort of like when you're writing an actual essay, you put down your thesis statement, like the point you're trying to make, and then you try to point down like at least three solid arguments on your end. And this doesn't mean they have to. Now, when I say this, when I say solid, I don't mean they have to be objectively good arguments necessarily, because like I will. Oh, nothing makes me angry more when people feel the need to say that something is objectively bad or objectively good, because that flies in the face of human perception and all that other stuff. Like, obviously, there's objective reality, which is what the thing is, and all that stuff. And then there's subjective perception, which is what you think about it, the conclusion you come to, and all that stuff. Like, obviously, like, so when you're making an objective argument, you're saying, okay, here's what it's do. When you're making an argument, you're arguing something based on your own subjective perception, and then you're using objective evidence, like saying this is what happens in the show and this is what happens here, and then you back it up with all that other stuff. Like the only time, like if you're stating stuff that doesn't happen, then that would be just not an objectively good piece of evidence. But if but on the other end, if you're saying something that's like you're stating your opinion as if it's a fact, then to my opinion that just comes off as a hasty generalization or just a fallacy, and it's just hard to take your opinion seriously at that point, in my opinion. But because it's like, who the hell are you to determine, who what is right and wrong and what is correct in analysis or whatever. It's like, no, we're just people sharing the same opinion. It holds the same weight. But off of that diatribe, so like my process is I would have my thesis statement, I would make my arguments, and then I would try to pile up as much evidence as I can to like try to speak to my point and how I came to that conclusion. But I'm still understanding that it's still my own subjective perception and all that stuff. I try to push away because I used to be that person that said objectively bad back in the day, but I grew up and realized that that opinions are a lot more complicated. One person could say is trash, another person, like, for instance, like Panty and Stocking, from my understanding, the creation of that show, the reason why that show happened was because it was heavily inspired by Drawn Together. And a lot of people don't like that show. The creator of Drawn Together said they really liked it, and they said, let's go do Panty and Stocking. And that's what led to that. And then again, on that same end, some people could say, oh man, Panty and Stocking is incredible. But another person could say, this thing is trash. But then another person can go and inspire to make that. It's that whole one man's trash is another man's treasure sort of thing. It's sort of like, and that's a whole other rant. But I think, but just again, I'll get back to that in a minute. But like the point I'm trying to say is like I would write that outline, I make my arguments, and then I would try to like go in and record stuff, and then I would capture footage. Usually like either I would do it manually or I would try to find a way to like get clips of it and stuff like that just to back up my points and stuff like that. You got to be very careful with certain clips though, just because like even though like you are using it specifically to make a point and all that stuff, hence the term video essay and all that. Sometimes like it can get flagged for being detected or whatever for any reason. Which it's like yeah, you can usually resort to just using images, but in my opinion, if you just use images and stuff like that, then what's the point of it being a video essay? Just sort of defeats the purpose, you know? And so you have to be very creative with how you edit around. That's how you get stuff like, you get your Captain Christians or your Super Eye Patch Wolves or your Jeff Thews of Mother Basement and stuff like that. Those are the ones I like to watch frequently. But yeah, those are the ones I would usually do. I don't do them as often as I used to, mainly because even though I'm passionate about talking about my favorite types of media and talking about voice actor careers and stuff like that, dealing with the constant changes of the YouTube platform was just obnoxious, and I didn't want to deal with like it's like, oh, I used this clip, and then suddenly, oh wait, oh this company that doesn't own it at all struck it down. I'm like, okay, I'll fight that. Oh hey, no, it's back on. Oh wait, never mind, we took it back down again, and you can't get it back up again. I'm like, okay, and then I just didn't, and then the video ends up getting butchered because of it because I had to take out that entire clip using YouTube's amazing editor system that is super perfect in every way. But that's something, and you don't want to deal with that. But or at least I don't want to deal with that anymore. So I just said, screw it. I'm just gonna do original stuff from this point forward because I don't want to deal with this garbage anymore. And if I ever do video essays again in the future, then it'd have to be like through some very creative means or whatever, just because it's like it's just such a pain. But I was talking about something earlier about like, oh yeah, so objective perception and all that stuff, and I was going off on a diatribe about something, but I'm trying to remember what it was. Um, but yeah, that's to answer your question about the video essay thing. Yeah, that's what that is. Yeah,
Because I know it was definitely you were talking about objectively bad criticisms or like bad. Yeah, I think it was something along the lines, but
yeah,
yeah. So I know it was something that was kind of related to that, but now it's kind of slipping my mind too. But to actually go to piggyback off of what you were talking about when it comes to um, making those because not only did you do like those video essays, but you also did the voice actor kind of like salute stuff.
yeah,
And I think I remember it was specifically the one that you did on Keith Silverstein that ended up,
yeah,
yeah, that was the one that ended up getting affected the
yeah.
most, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was a clip from
Yeah.
like Devilman Crybaby that got flagged,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah. Right.
I had to like remove it. I was like, okay, fine, fair enough. But the problem is like there were also like interviews that got hit in that same area from people who didn't own those clips, and then they said, nope, we're gonna upheld our thing. We disagree. We actually think this was the right thing to do, and now those videos are butchered because of it. And if I had a Patreon or something like that, or a separate service where I could say, hey, you can watch it here and do that stuff, then I would do that. But I don't know. It's frustrating, but yeah, to get on that whole thing. But yeah, like what I was saying earlier before about objectives. So like, yeah, you make your so like there's this idea. I was thinking about this before, but like, I think the reason why I get so upset when people say things like, for like, as a Sonic fan, the reason I get so upset when people say that like Sonic has never had a good game or whatever, the reason why that gets a rise out of me, I realized that today. I was wondering like what it says about me. It's because it's the attitude. It's the attitude that people have about the opinion that bothers me so much. And it's like when people it's this this nihilistic insincerity with how they say it, you know. It's like they do it because it's a meme, because it's a joke, and then like when you call them out for it, they tell it's like, hey man, we're just joking, we're just being nice, we're just making fun of Sonic, don't be so like, don't take yourself so seriously. And it's like, I don't really see the joke in giving other people grief for being sincere about what they like. It's sort of this thing of like, we created this like, okay, now I'm starting to remember what was going on. It's like, I understand that like human beings are like, we're pack animals by nature, but like I feel like it's infuriating that we feel the need to like like, even when we say we like something, there's this always this backhanded thing where it's like, where people will say, "Oh, you know, it's okay to like bad things." Like it's just, it's like you can't be sincere about liking it. You have to say like, "Oh, I like it, but I know it sucks." It's like, but what if I disagree with that? Does that mean I'm delusional? That doesn't seem fair to me. It's like, how does that open up the conversation? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, but we need to hold these companies to high standard. Cool, that's you. And like that's not how I see it. Well, you have just have low standards. Okay, but who are you to decide that? Who are you to decide that I have low standards or not? Like it's just this whole thing. It's just like this. It's a mixture of like the pack animal mentality, but also this nihilistic, insincere way of and looking at media that like we just dissect ourselves from it. And it's like I understand wanting to make media better and holding people to higher standards, but there has to be some level of respect there. Is That's all I'm saying. It's like people have their legit reasons for saying that, and that doesn't mean they're wrong or that they're delusional for liking it. That's just stop doing that. Stop telling people what to think. Stop doing it.
That's not even touching upon the whole toxic, just positivity aspect of it all. Like, where people will just pretend like, oh, it's just so perfect and PG keen, but it's like, come on, I know there's gotta be like, look, I'm not to say like, for example, with Sonic, I'm not saying that it's a perfect franchise by any means. Like,
Mm.
I have my own unpopular takes on it, but it's just like people, we kind of lost the ability to just approach it with an open mind, where if somebody said like, just say take one YouTuber, they um how can I put this? If you have a certain following on social media, and there could kind of be like this bubble where everybody could just be like, oh, this game is great or this movie is really good, but then somebody would just be like, oh, I don't think it's really all that good to me. And then they'll just attack somebody for an opinion where, and they actually offer like legitimate, valid criticisms of that thing. But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, you can't attack this because the big daddy is watching, and it's gonna look bad on you, it's going to reflect badly on you. But it's just kind of like, honestly, for me personally, for media, we can passionately praise something and just also, critique it. Like if something isn't working, like don't be afraid to share it. But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, you can't really talk bad about this thing, otherwise you're just not gonna it's not going to make you look good. But at the end of the day, the point that I'm trying to get across is we need to start having more, open-minded conversations. Like if somebody doesn't like something and if they give valid reasons why they don't like it, that's okay. There's like a billion people that not one person is going to think the same as the next. Like I can say something that, if you may not necessarily agree with, but you're hearing what I'm saying, or you can kind of say something that might be like, oh, really? And so that's why I'm like, you know what? More different voices and different mindsets, because we're all different creatives that are like we can think differently about certain subject matters. And that's okay. Like, not everybody's gonna vibe with you, not everybody's gonna think the same. And as long as we're kind of like, sort of on the same page as why, one person doesn't really necessarily think this one area of the franchise doesn't really appeal to them, that's okay. Like, we're talking about, like, on the subject of Sonic, this is a franchise that's been going on for like, oh my God, 34, almost close to 35 years. So,
Yeah,
and it's changed, it's evolved, and it's changed drastically over the
yeah,
last 3 decades that it's been going on. So, it's not going to be the same for forever. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And
And
I
I'm just gonna
honestly,
leave it at that. Yeah.
yeah, and I honestly, even just to cap on it, like I honestly kind of respect the fact that Sonic tries to reinvent itself all the time,
Yeah.
just because it's like even if people don't like it, it's like it's like here's the thing, and again, this is not to throw shade or anything, but it's like you think
Yeah.
it's like there's some franchises out there that do the same thing over and over again, and it works for them, but it's like yeah, they found a working pattern, but it's like eventually it's gonna get tiring and you want to move on. But like the thing is, it's like I'd rather you take a big swing and miss rather than just play it safe and just do the same thing over and over again. That's why, like, I'll even say this, like, that's why, like, I actually kind of, that's why, like when it comes to like games like from a story standpoint or even other stuff, even from a story standpoint, I respect games like, no, I'm not gonna say it here. I shouldn't say it. But the point is, it's like. But like the point, if you take big swings and take chances rather than play it safe, then it's like I think there's something more respectable about that, in my opinion. But there's that whole thing. But also like just to add on to that other thing, like when it comes to analyzing material and stuff like that, it's okay to like disagree or whatever. I'm not gonna get upset if like people say they don't like it. I might just be mildly annoyed at best, but that's just because I'm a human being and that's just how I am as a person. But like if you have this like very negative attitude towards it, that it's if you have a really nasty attitude towards it, like you act like you're above it, that's when I get upset. That's when I get mad. That's the main thing I usually go at. But yeah.
Yeah. So just to TLDR, this entire conversation is just look, you can have like, you know, everybody can have a different mindset, but just don't be a jerk about it.
Yeah.
Just TLDR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and let me see. What would you say, like, as far as when it comes to actors or just people, like when it comes to influences, like I know you kind of discussed this last time, but because you mentioned people like Gendy Tartakovsky and I think Akira Toriyama. Just wanna I mean,
Yeah.
look, it's no coincidence that I'm wearing this today. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because you mentioned people like them that were very like a large influence on you because they took the risks and we were just kind of going off at the subject of like just playing it safe because they're the people that are always experimenting and trying new stuff in each and every single one of the shows or movies that they're doing and it's like because when it comes to Sonic it just reinvents itself. I think with Gandhi and Akira those are like the two big examples I can think of like always reinventing something in a franchise even if it's not going to gel with everybody,
Yeah.
and that's something that I kind of respect a lot when it comes to
Yeah.
both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's all I'm going to
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Yeah. I still remember like there was I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. This
Mm.
who hasn't seen Samurai Jack season 5 by like
I mean, come on.
2025. But like
There's a
but
lot
like
of people. Uh,
there's a moment in season 5 I still remember where like Tumblr went off on it. Like just they were so upset about it.
yeah,
But like, hey,
man.
he took a chance. So,
Yeah, who remembers Tumblr? Oh my God. But yeah, boy, yeah, I do know the moment you're talking about, but I'm not gonna say it here, but
I
because
won't.
I mean, the show's been out for like what, about a decade or so,
Less
season or
than
so.
that, I think. It'll be a decade in like 2 years. So
Yeah, give or
about
take. Yeah.
18 years technically. Or no,
Ooh,
not 8 years. 8 years.
8 years. Yeah, 18. That would be boy, I'm getting old. But yeah, so that's just a good example of what I'm talking about. So regarding, the other stuff, because you said eye patch, super eye patch wolf, and all these names you mentioned, is there anybody else that you also consider to be like specifically for people that have helped you along the way? Because you've also did improv, you've done acting, like as far as building your portfolio in a way, who would you also say were very instrumental on helping you on your journey?
I definitely think that Devin Mack and Bill Butts were a big part of
Yes.
my
Oh yeah.
about a
Yeah.
big part of like helping me get into the industry. You know, they offered me some cool opportunities and got me invested, got me connected with some people within my community, and like even people of color who work in this business. I got to know them a bit more. Um, Tiana Camacho, especially, she's always been very nice to me and always offers me some cool advice on how to construct myself and stuff like that. I haven't been to a convention yet, but she gives some pretty cool advice on what to do with all that. Um, in terms of others people, I'm trying to think of like other influences that I've had. I mean, in terms of like obviously like I mentioned iPatch Wolf before, the way they construct their videos and they speak with passion. Obviously, I don't. I usually agree, even if I don't always agree with what they say. They know how to they know how to research their topic and but they also went out of their way to reinvent themselves through the way they talk about stuff and yeah, but also yeah, like those are the ones that come to my mind. Those specific types of influences that I've had in my life have been very helpful. Another one is a friend of mine, Martin Liss. He is a very talented person who is very good at collaborating and working with people and getting things done. And he works his ass off whenever he needs to do something. And he is very good at what he does. Like he like genuinely like tries to like reach out and he's very careful about approaching people. He's very thoughtful about constructing stuff and he gets things done and I'm hoping like he can work on like a lot more big budget animated productions later down the line. Maybe not AAA or anything like that, just simple like stuff that's like grounded. I'd hope he what I'm saying is I hope he can do stuff that like is out in theaters or out in streaming services and stuff like that or whatever's out there. That would be really cool. So those are people that really influence me in my life.
I think we'll probably have to conclude this in the next part. Let's do this. Alrighty, we are back. So I think to close this out, what is the advice or final thoughts that you want to give to those that are, they want to go out there and spread their wings? Just last bit of advice that you wanted to share before we close for today.
Like, sharpen your like obviously like pursue what you're passionate about, like what you really care about doing and stuff like that, but also try your best to like be familiar with it, try your best to like find people who share the same interest in you and try to like learn from people who are better than you, but also like be willing to take criticism, be but don't be too hard on yourself. Make sure to go out and smell the roses on occasion. Go out and I don't like I say this meaning like make sure to like go out and touch grass and just like just take in the air and stuff like that. Just like just enjoy life and stuff like that. Like obviously like be a full person. Like obviously like people want to be creatives and stuff like that, but in order to be a creative person you have to like take part in life and you just sort of have to go and do that stuff. You gotta exist. You have to be a person, and the best way you can do that is just to go out and like, hey, there's a new horror movie coming out. I want to go see that. Or hey, I wanna like I haven't there's this part in LA I haven't been to. Go explore that. Just like take up new hobbies and stuff like that. Like build Gunpla. Play some indie games that deserve your attention. Pizza Tower is really cool, and I've heard great things about Expedition 33. I have it in my library. I haven't played it yet, but I can't wait to check it out. Read stories that you haven't read before or haven't had the time to. Start up a hobby of collecting stuff. Like like I finished collecting my Soul Eater manga, and I'm currently reading through it right now just to see how the story ended. Just yeah, live life, but also just like make friends. Like you absolutely if there's anything I realize, you actually do need a solid friend circle. Like please and yeah, it does get harder as you get older, as I find, but it's not impossible as long as you just put yourself out there and try. So, but again, and it's hard to do that, but like, just as long as you're able to keep living life, you might even make a friend by accident. So, that's what I would say.
There's a quote that I would listen to from Crispin Freeman's podcast, which highly recommend, by the way.
Yeah.
It's love the art in yourself, not yourself in the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that probably would be the best way to close this out on. Um, and it's also like because he would kind of discuss a little bit. I know it's one quote that he would use from Steve Martin or Martin Short, one of the two, where it's I think it's something along the lines of be good to the point where they can't ignore you or something like that.
I
But
remember
I
that,
think,
yeah.
yeah, I think it's also something that would also close out with. But definitely loving the art in yourself and not yourself in the art because we are all we have stories to share and we all have like stuff that we want to give to the project. Like, be to somebody that is like a problem solver. Like, you want to offer something more to the project that wasn't there before, if I were to add on to that. So, being good where they can ignore you, loving the art of yourself, and also just be the problem solver. Have fun, and yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
Just simple as that. Yeah, but I just want to thank you so much for your time. Just thank you for sharing a lot about, just media or just how to give constructive, critiques, feedback, and all that stuff. So if people want to check out your stuff or just, keep in touch, like or if you wanted to promote, you want to talk about, stuff that you're working on, yeah, just self promo, just social media, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can follow me at kaijordan.blue on Blue Sky specifically. I don't have a Twitter anymore, and I'm not gonna put it back up anymore.
Good.
And I have
Yeah,
I have Instagram at KiriKaiDubs, which I post on occasion. I'm usually active on there too. And if you want to follow me on Twitch in case I have any streams. I usually try to stream every Friday, depending on what happens during my day. Usually some kind of fighting game or whatever on Kai Jordan underscore Kirikai. You can find me on Twitch over there. And yeah, that's about all I can say right there. My YouTube channel's not as active as it used to be, but there's links to that. If I ever post anything, I'll probably post on those pages first. And of course, if you want to follow my voice acting representation stuff like that, you can find it all on my website, kaijordanvo.com. And yeah, so just the email's also there and all that stuff. If you want to see my visual reel, it's up there too. And yeah.
for sure. I think to close this out, like any final thoughts, an outro, anything you want to close out with?
Uh just just be whatever you do in life, just be don't regret just be passionate, make sure you have personality in what you do, and make sure that you're putting in your best effort. That's I guess that's the best thing I can say because that's always been like my pep thing, the thing I'd always say: passion, personality, and effort.
Because I would also, I did interviews with Aaron Roselle and Kim Tran, and we would just talk
Mm,
about just going out there, just live life,
yeah,
always stay grounded and rooted. In the word or just anything that just helps you just keep your head above water. Um,
yeah,
I think that's just pretty much all I've got to say to close this out on. Yeah,
cool.
I don't really have anything else to really say at the moment. I know there's probably going to be more in the foreseeable future, but I think it's pretty much a good note to this
All
today's
right.
episode on. Yeah. So once again, thank you, and yeah, if there's anything else coming out. Oh, right. So for my channel, stay tuned for more original content that's going to be coming soon. Like a couple of projects that I've got in the works that some of y'all may know about, but just if you want to go to my channel, just see some past interviews I've done, and you'll probably get a gist of what's going on. Just new projects that is going to be in the pipelines, and I'm really excited for that. But until then, have a good day. God bless, and yeah. Okay, just you know what? I know how to close this out. Love and peace. So yeah, just want to give respect to JYB Johnny on Bosch. So yeah, Godspeed, take care, and have a good day. Peace.
See ya.